Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Wednesday's edition of the dceu Daily. And please stay to the very end for my review and my reaction of Kenobi Episode 3. Really excited to be talking about that one with you today. At the end of the video, there will be spoilers. But my question on today's dceu Daily is Ezra Miller still the Flash? Now, to get some definite answers, you're going to have to talk to someone who's more in the loop. But at the end of the day, we can discuss it. I want you to imagine, have you ever been to a shop before where there's an old friend of yours that works there? You're not talking anymore, so you like to avoid it. This is the same situation as Ezra Miller remaining in this film. Yesterday, there were rumours from the Flash movie news site, which is not an official source of information. They're just a bunch of Hamada shills, if I'm being honest. They claim Ezra was in LA to do ADR. What's ADR? They record their voices over. So they go, they sit in a studio, and they have to say all their lines again. So that's the rumour. This information isn't coming from any other official site but the Flash movie news, which is interesting. Do I think it's true? I don't know. I would doubt it. It seems like a waste of oxygen, wouldn't it? Considering they don't even know what they're going to do with this film. And still, Andy Muschietti hasn't posted about this film since before the delays were announced. So again, a very, very weird situation. And that situation, of course, continues. But if you want to, discuss the future of the other movies, well, this is interesting. One of the directors of Batgirl turned up, at a big film convention the other day with a Batmobile, yeah? So you kind of would assume that that film's still happening, but where is that release date? So that's still very, very suspicious. But it was great for him to turn up in that Batmobile and very, very awesome. But anyway, let's go back to the conversation that's more relevant as far as I'm concerned, because The Flash is the movie that's in doubt right now. And definitely Ezra Miller is in doubt as the lead. Now, Toby Emmerich has tried a lot of things. He's tried to allow Miller to put out his defense that he was, he was attacked and abused, and that's why he did what he did. Look, son, it doesn't matter what you had to put up with. What you did was wrong. And I mean, you went round somebody's apartment. Let's not forget about that. So Ezra Miller's position is in a lot of trouble here. Obviously, they've had discussions. Listen, if this was a Toby Emmerich and Walter Hamada decision, this guy would still be playing the Flash. But as we know now, it's David Zaslav's decision, and he's going to look at this in one way. He won't care that Ezra Miller is a problem, a liability. He won't care that he's broken the law. He just has to work out whether this film can still make money with Ezra Miller in it. And here are the facts, everyone. This movie cannot make bank with this actor in it. And that's where the decision is. I've never seen a franchise like this before. Even Disney's Star Wars isn't this bad. I mean, they've really cornered themselves into a hole. And what would I do? Well, regrettably, I would have to get rid of him. As much money as that would cost me, I would have to get rid of him and make a decision about the future of this movie. It's not like this movie doesn't have any narrative issues anyway, which we've already discussed, because no one's going to support a film where Supergirl replaces Superman. I say this every day. No one's supporting that. No one. Only a couple of people with Sasha Calle profile pictures on Twitter. Nobody else is supporting this. And they're the people hyped for the Hamadaverse and this franchise as is. That's the truth. I was threatened by one of these fans yesterday, and I muted them. It's okay. Some people can't handle the truth. The public may never see this Flash movie, and if you want this movie to go ahead, the best way to do that is to get rid of Ezra Miller. Recast, start again. Those Dylan O'Brien rumours are still ringing in my ears. But yeah, listen, it's a complicated situation. It's not an easy decision to make, of course it's not. But ultimately, these people want to make money. And Ezra Miller can't even sit there and do interviews anymore. He's that far gone. This is a deeper issue as well. If you forgive him and let him off and take the risk that the movie may make money, you've still got the fact that this guy isn't the full ticket. He had meltdowns while making the movie. He can't be interviewed. It's no good. And if he is doing the ADR, I don't even know, and nobody knows if he can act mentally, if he's capable of doing it. Now, we know he's been talking to a professional, but you can't talk to a professional for a couple of weeks and say, well, I'm cured now, let's carry on. I'm afraid not. If they wanted to salvage this situation, as soon as it was in the public domain, he should have came out and apologized, and he did not. He did not. It's everybody else's fault but Ezra Miller's. This is the problem with Hollywood. It's our fault, the people who criticize him. It's the police's fault in Hawaii. It's everybody's fault but his. I don't care. I don't care about the circumstances. I don't care about the mitigating circumstances. I don't care about his personal problems. I care about the DCEU. I care about DC live action. I care about these characters. And I want to see the greatest franchise out there. Have you ever read a DC comic before? And have you ever thought about what kind of awesome movie that comic would make? We've never seen that. Not really. We haven't seen the potential ever in the history of DC CBMs, really. We've seen some really good films, but that potential's never been reached. And we need that potential to be reached. And Ezra Miller and people like him, like Amber Heard, are standing in the way of that. And I won't tolerate that as a fan. I won't support that. And you know what? If me talking against Walter Hamada and Ezra Miller upsets you, too bad. Because I'm speaking my facts. They may not be your facts. It's tough luck. This franchise has been a mess from day one. But at least Snyder had a vision and had integrity. And, you know, a creative identity and a vision. You know, these people don't have that. Because they should have started from scratch once they got rid of him, and they didn't do that. And now they don't know where to turn. David Zaslav doesn't know where to turn. And so I'm asking the question today, what do you think? Do you think Ezra Miller is still the Flash? Should he still be the Flash? I say no. I say he should be removed immediately, because this film ain't going to make any bank, ain't going to make any green without him. You can talk back to me, right, while I'm doing this to my screen and say, it can. You're not living in the real world. This movie will not make any real money. This is one of the most expensive DC live action movies, one of the most expensive CBMs ever made, and it's not going to make back the money they wanted it to make. This was going to be a huge movie, and I still don't get the mentality of replacing Superman and Supergirl. I don't get what they're thinking. How did they think they were going to get away with this? Even if Miller had behaved himself, right? How did they think they were going to get away with it? There is no getting away with that. You can't get rid of Superman from the DC Extended Universe. It won't work. You have the power to do whatever you want, but it's not going to work. The man has too many fans and supporters. And then there's Henry Cavill as Superman. The whole world wants that, apart from you, Walter Hamada, and you, Toby Emmerich. And it doesn't make sense. You see, this is the problem with modern day movies and, you know, how they're made and the people behind them. They don't have the mentality of a Tom Cruise who understands if you entertain the audience, right, if you entertain the peasants will come back and make you money. It's simple. I'd say these people in entertainment today don't even care about making money anymore. It's all about their political propaganda. They're nut jobs. They're incompetent. So this film can't work anyway, even if Ezra Miller sorted out his problems. And he can't, because his reputation is on the fucking floor. And you can say the opposite to what I'm saying, but it's delusional. It's not true. It is not in logic. It's not logical. It's not logical to go ahead with this movie as this guy is the lead. I want you to think about this for a minute. They decided to recreate the DC Extended Universe. Fine, it was a mess. It needed a new life, right? It needed an identity. I understand. They decided that Ezra Miller would lead the new DCEU, a man who's not mentally there, a man who's problematic, a man who's been known even before these incidents for being violent and aggressive. Why did they do it? All those people they could have chosen, and they chose him. Again, mistake after mistake after mistake, and they will carry on, and they will spread rumours about this happening, this toy being sold. It doesn't matter. Right now, the Flash movie is on the shelf. A decision hasn't been made yet, but eventually they'll have to make one. Well, that was today's DCEU Daily. Now we're going to talk about episode 3 of Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Now, you know what I think about the first 2 episodes. I thought they were badly written, badly directed, and I haven't seen stuff that amateur since I saw episodes of Sunset Beach and Santa Barbara. Well, episode 3, I'm glad to report, is a marked improvement. This felt like Star Wars. The pacing was better, quicker, the dialogue was better, the writing was great. It was a really, really good episode full of emotion. Now, there will be spoilers, slightly. Darth Vader is in this episode. He's in this episode a lot, and it's so good. He has a conversation with Reva, which is very interesting, which I love, but she can't get near him. She has to they got this kind of teleprompter thing, haven't they? And this is how they talk. So I think she's clearly trying to get near him. I think that Reva wants to kill Vader. I think she is one of those children from the Jedi Temple. Somehow she escaped, or something along those lines anyway. But it's interesting because we're talking about the end of the episode and, you know, what she did. Because a lot of us think that she's, well, eventually will be misunderstood. I don't think she's a good person right now. I think she's affected by what she went through as a child. But I think eventually she will be inspired by Obi-Wan to do the right thing. And that'll be interesting to see. So right now, she's conflicted and confused. So she's a bad person at this moment. But anyway, yeah, really good episode. I actually think it's amazing. I was watching this and I was saying to myself, you know, you're in shock when Disney Star Wars does anything good. But I did suspect that the 3rd episode would be a lot better than the first 2. I think they wanted to start slowly and get, you know, better and better, and they did in this episode. It was so good. The scenes with Leia and Obi-Wan, or Ben, or whatever you want to call him, were really good. We saw lots of stormtroopers. One thing though, you know, when Obi-Wan, if you've seen the episode, you know, met the woman and she was helping them, and she said, "Oh, I found the pilot." I thought, oh yeah, we're gonna see like a callback. Who could this pilot be? I thought maybe it's Chewbacca. Maybe it'd be too early for Chewbacca. Would he be grown up by then? I don't know. Or something like that. I was thinking Lando would be far too young, wouldn't he? Or I don't know anyway. I don't know. But anyway, I thought it might be kind of an Easter eggy kind of appearance. But it didn't end like that. So, yeah, that surprised me. It's always good to be surprised when you're watching your storytelling, right? But yeah, the music was great. It felt emotional. It felt like a proper episode. And it tells me we've got a lot of great stuff to look forward to. Listen, I've said to so many Star Wars fans in the past, if you have Darth Vader in a Star Wars film or a Star Wars live action TV show, people will come. People are obsessed with Darth Vader. He was the villain of our childhoods. And even this generation love Darth Vader because a lot of people, when they were younger, grew up watching Anakin become Vader. So it's very important to a lot of people. So it's important to my generation because of the original trilogy, and it's important to the generation who grew up with the prequels, which I still think are amazing. So there's a lot of emotional investment, which we see in this episode as well. It's really good. So Obi-Wan is still trying to reach Qui-Gon Jinn. As I said before, I doubt that Liam Neeson will appear. We may get a surprise at the end. I thought maybe Yoda would turn up. But I must say, It was a much better made episode. The acting was a lot better. I don't know what was going on. Maybe Deborah Chow was a bit inexperienced at first in the first 2 episodes, and she's become more proficient. It's interesting, really. You think about someone like Deborah Chow. She's not only a director, but she's a producer. She's probably the showrunner of this thing as well. Now, she doesn't write them. You know, you've got Joby Harold and a couple of other people writing them. So it's interesting who they're getting to do this. Listen, the first 2 episodes had huge ratings. Obviously so. I do want to touch on the Moses Ingram controversy very, very shortly. But I really want to focus on Star Wars rather than, you know, identity politics. But we will touch on it. And so, yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. I mean, I understand why they're giving young Leia so much screen time, and they've made her so central to the plot as well. They believe, or the SJWs believe, and even a lot of fans believe, that Leia wasn't given enough screen time in the original trilogy, and that she wasn't as central as Luke. So I get it. So what they've done is they've left Luke at the farm, but this is disappointing in a way. I love the young kid playing Leia. I think she's great. And in this episode, her dialogue was great as well. We're getting to know this younger version of Leia. It's great. But I'm just thinking, wouldn't it have been great if Luke and young Leia could have been on this adventure together? It would be awkward, of course, because they didn't meet, so you can't do it. But it's a shame Luke can't be doing something. But I do get it. I agree that, you know, Luke did get more kind of central storytelling and development by George Lucas than Leia did, and maybe it is fair that she gets this screen time. So I'm not going to argue with that too much. So now I may go back and watch the first 2 and watch the third one again, and I think those first 2 episodes will feel a lot better for me now. So yes, I did feel it was a much better episode. I really did enjoy it. If you haven't seen it or you're refusing to see it, go and see it, because it's so very, very good. So we do get, spoiler alert, a Darth Vader, Obi-Wan Kenobi saber fight. But be warned, this isn't the saber fight that Kathleen Kennedy has been teasing. No, this is just the beginning. So basically, it's advantage Darth Vader. You know, Obi-Wan hasn't, you know, used his saber for years, and he hasn't got the experience, he hasn't got the confidence anymore. So Vader is really, really after him, and he's going for him. But then something, well, it's not amazing for Obi-Wan, but it is amazing to see how fucking dark Anakin Skywalker is now. So he basically raises, using the Force, he raises Obi-Wan up, then he creates a fire using his saber. And he puts Obi-Wan in that fire. Now, unless you're a Star Wars fan, you don't understand the relevance of this, because basically Obi-Wan left him there to burn. So, you know, Anakin is thinking an eye for an eye here. He puts him in the fire, but that's not enough. He doesn't do it to kill him. He wants him to feel the pain of the burns, so he pulls him out. But then the lady protecting him starts shooting a few stormtroopers and creates a distraction. So he's saved, but he's going to be in a lot of pain. But we do get a great cliffhanger with Leia, because Reva has found this hidden kind of hallway to how these Jedis escape, and she murders the pilot that was going to meet Leia and Obi-Wan, tries to pretend that she's the replacement pilot, or whatever she's trying to do, but of course it's obvious with Leia seeing the dead body there, it's obvious what's going on, so Leia runs away. Cliffhanger, to be continued. Whatever next, I'm sure someone will save her, unless Reva reveals herself as a good person, which I doubt. But yeah, Reva is definitely going through this, you know, this big kind of story. And I like the idea, you know, at the end of the day, that this kid who, you know, was nearly murdered, found a way, or maybe they discovered her, because actually there's a great scene going back to when Leia and Obi-Wan are talking while they're getting a lift, and, you know, she references to him, you know, you knew my mother, didn't you? You've been lying to me. That's a great moment, so emotional. She's worked out that he knew Padme. And then she says, and this is heartbreaking, she says, are you my father? And he goes, I wish that I was. That's an amazing moment. But she starts to get upset, and he goes, look, I know how you feel. us as Jedis were taken away from our parents when we were very young. I can barely remember them. I think I had a brother. So what is great about this show and doing this, we get to learn a bit more about the history of Obi-Wan Kenobi and what it feels like to be Obi-Wan Kenobi, because he is like no other Jedi. He's a more compassionate Jedi to the others. He's a more intelligent Jedi as well, and wiser, as Qui-Gon says in The Phantom Menace, but he's very different to other Jedis. So I really liked that element of it as well. And so it's great that she kind of has worked out that he knew Padme. Now, it's interesting what else can you do with Leia in this series, because you're kind of hampered a bit because of the history of Star Wars, because if you take it too far, I mean, does she see Vader? You know, things like that. Will they give her a mind wipe, as I mentioned in last week's episodes 1 and 2 review? I really don't know, but I'm going to give this episode 5 out of 5. It was brilliant. So much Vader, so much Obi-Wan, so much emotion. Young Leia is awesome. Reva felt like a better character this week because we got to know her a bit as well. I just want to talk about Moses Ingram now. So I'm done with my review. Go and see it. It's awesome. So apparently lots of so-called Star Wars fans are being racist to Moses Ingram on the Star Wars accounts, on her own social media, I think. Anyway, the Star Wars official social media came out to say that we resist and we stand by Moses, and Ewan McGregor has said some stuff. Listen, this is my take. You see, I think, right, if I was running an empire like Kathleen Kennedy, I would be saying, where are these racist messages? Screenshot them and send them to the police. But they're not doing that because there is no racism. Because telling someone I don't like your performance, I don't like your character, isn't racist. But of course, everything is deemed as racist today. Here's the issue. They set this situation up from day one, and then they gaslit the fans, right? It's okay to stand by your actor. That's brilliant. I respect that. But who's going to protect Moses Ingram from Lucasfilm? They cast her on purpose, and then they did her character in a certain way to gaslight the fans, to trick the fans into going into this. In fact, in Ewan McGregor's video, he talks about influential fans being racist. I wonder who he could be talking about here. Of course, he's talking about the Phantom Menace. So that's interesting. I mean, listen, I'm not going to stand here and defend or attack the Phantom Menace. Some people deem them as racist ultra-right-wingers. I don't see them as that. I don't agree with their politics. I don't. But they make a lot of great points about what's going on in entertainment today. And I don't have to agree with them politically. But if people are being racist to Moses, I stand with Moses as well. I like Moses. She's great. She's trying hard to give great performances. It's difficult, right? It's difficult. She's in Star Wars, so the pressure is huge. But if people are going after her and, hiding behind creative kind of talking points because they're racist, that's bad. And I stand by Moses. But this is a bunch of propaganda from Lucasfilm. It's so bad because we shouldn't be talking about Moses Ingram, in terms of racism and being attacked. We should be talking about Moses' performance and her character. It's a very interesting character, and it's an interesting path they're taking this character on. But as usual, it's about identity politics, because talking identity politics today gives you clicks, gives you likes, and of course, this very industry, people like Kathleen Kennedy like this. They're loving this. They're loving this, but ultimately, it'll get them nowhere. We want to be positive. I like my Star Wars. Now, personally, Star Wars to me is George's 6 movies and a couple of animated shows at this moment. I haven't seen anything to tell me, oh, this is Star Wars. Now, I've really enjoyed episode 3 of the Kenobi series, and that's great. But they're going to have to do more than that to convince me that Disney is Star Wars too. This has been the DCEU Daily with me, Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I'll see you tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily exclusively here on Movies TV Mad. Until we see each other again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.